people, and welcome back to On Air. Glad you could join me. Today, part 2 of our special report is the DSA, the Direct Selling Association, in trouble, as their member numbers are down below 190, far below its peak of around 260 just a few years ago. Are they in trouble, even as they fast-track new members into their association? Also, more and more direct selling companies and direct selling owners are pouring millions of dollars directly into political campaigns, thereby bypassing the DSA. Is the DSA losing its political clout in Washington, losing its voice in Washington? Also, 2 recent articles in Direct Selling News, February and March of 2012, by Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for the DSA, Amy Robinson, raises the question: after 40 years, does the DSA have a clue on how to solve the image problem for direct selling? And last, is the DSA stepping in to the political arena? The article in the March edition of Direct Selling News raises that question in a big, big way. Or is it that they're trying to spin or change the narrative for those of us here in direct selling? All that and more here today on Air.
When my mother used to sell Princess House.
Joined them way that night.
Norma siempre vendía cosas de Avon.
Oh, it must have been around 1935.
But those knives were amazing.
The one lady's name was Mary Kay, and I said, oh, cosmetics will never sell on Party Plan.
Was a single mom and created these hair care products for black women and became the first self-made millionaire in the United States. I just think that's extraordinary.
Welcome back to On Air. Yesterday was part 1 of my special report, Is the DSA in Trouble? Today is part 2 and will be the conclusion of this special report. So I hope you get a lot out of this. In yesterday's story, we talked about the image issue for direct selling. This all goes back to an explosive article by Direct Selling Association Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer Amy Robinson, where she concluded that the way to solve our image problem here in direct selling is to delete the word image from our vocabulary, to just wipe it out of our minds completely. It doesn't exist, it never existed, and we should just move forward. Changing the narrative, as she's trying to do, trying to reposition direct selling from the negative stigma by saying we're going to remove the word image from our vocabulary, is not going to solve the problem. We may very well delete the word image from our vocabulary, but it has absolutely nothing to do with it for 50% of Americans and others around the world who have a negative image of us. It just doesn't make sense. I'm going to read part of the February article in Direct Selling News, February of 2012, that she wrote, and then we will get into, is the DSA looking to stretch their political muscle? Are they talking about super PACs and all these sort of things that they might want to get into? Because she really stuck her toe in that door in the March edition of Direct Selling News. But to the February edition, this is how it starts out. For a number of years now, you've probably heard the Direct Selling Association talking about its image enhancement program. I can guarantee you very few distributors have ever heard of it. This is a company initiative, and only companies know about it. You're trying to improve the image of the industry, and distributors don't even have a clue and they're not even involved in the conversation. It just doesn't make sense. However, she goes on to say, in an effort on the industry level to educate the public about direct selling and its benefits, the goal of the DSA's efforts has been to soften the marketplace for independent sellers so they can focus on their company's unique selling proposition and not to debunk the myths associated with direct selling, network marketing, multi-level marketing, or any other of the many terms that may have a less than positive connotation. This is what she suggests. Let's delete the word image from our vocabulary. No one wants to believe they have a poor image. And trying to improve it always requires dredging up the reasons why one acquired the poor image in the first place. Well, we have the poor image for a reason. We have the poor image because we haven't taken care of the brand. We've let others control the conversation. Now, a lot of those others happen to be direct sellers and direct selling company owners, things that they've gotten in trouble with. Direct selling is a brand. You cannot delete a negative word in order to try to get the public to better understand who we are. They know what the deal is. We all know what the deal is. Changing the word or deleting the word, asking us to delete the word is nonsense. The first thing you do is you hit the problem head on. You admit we have a negative problem, and then a negative image problem, and then you bring in the people who can solve the problem. In 1976, pollster Lou Harris was commissioned by the DSA to do a study on what the American perception was of direct selling, and 50% of the people in America had a negative view. That's almost 40 years ago. And your big conclusion after almost 40 years is for us to delete the word image from our vocabulary. That will take care of it? I don't think so. And I don't think anyone else thinks so. Maybe it's time that the DSA figure out a way to get a marketing arm as part of their team. Just like the NBA does. I talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to get into much detail about it. But the creation of a marketing division whose job is to do nothing but market the benefits of direct selling, put it in the hands of people who know how to do it, will solve the problem. Also, in the February edition, as I mentioned yesterday, she said something very curious. Amy went on to say that direct selling it's an entrepreneurial venture that millions of people are looking, particularly young people, would be looking to get into because they want to get out of the workforce. They want to get out of the everyday job situation. And I suggested that you all pay attention because that has we're going to get back into this workforce thing because of what she talked about in the March edition, where she is now trying to spin direct selling in a way that we get into the political conversation by saying we are job creators. Direct selling, as long as I've been involved, for over 16 years, people have been trying to get away from their jobs. You know, they're just over broke. And now, in order to change the narrative, in order to change the spin, you are suggesting that we become known as the job creators as part of the solution politically here in the United States, or certainly from an economic or the economy standpoint. When I come back, we're going to get into the March edition's article where the DSA actually mentioned the DSA, politics, and campaign all in the same sentence as them, or direct selling being the way to solve the economy here in the United States. Politically speaking, it looks like they might be thinking in terms of a super PAC. I'll be right back.
No family can survive on 2 incomes anymore, let alone 1. If you are supplementing your family's income working from home, then tune into The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio. Host Deb Bixler brings you sales tips, lead generation systems, and best business practices that guarantee direct sales success. Whether you're looking for a little extra cash or a career change, The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio will give you proven systems that will work in your home business. The Cash Flow Show, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on World Talk Radio Variety.
Welcome back. Direct selling and politics. Does that seem to go together with you? Well, it certainly does to me. I happen to believe that politics is the only game in town. I happen to believe it so much that over on Direct Selling Live, we've been running a Direct Selling Live politics where we have political bloggers from the community of direct selling talking about politics and its impact on direct selling from a progressive point of view, the Republican point of view, the Libertarian point of view. We've been doing that already. And we find that a lot of you really like engaging in that conversation. Not only that, we found that over the past few years, a number of direct selling company owners have poured millions of dollars into political campaigns in order to exercise their political influence, not only for their companies, but for their distributors, or so we hope. We've asked the DSA, once we found out that the DSA actually has a political action committee, what are they going to do about the whole political thing? Are they going to get more involved? I had a great conversation a couple of months ago with now DSA President Joe Mariano when we talked about the DSA's political action committee. Part of what came out of the conversation was that he would love for distributors to be more aware, to be more involved politically, so that it could help the DSA in the public policy debate. One of the things that I also did on the Direct Selling Live side was I created Direct Selling's first Direct Selling and Home-Based Business Tax Initiative, which was in large part to get direct sellers and home-based businesses together so that we could move collectively as a large political bloc, as a large speaking bloc, because it was quite obvious to me that there wasn't going to be a voice for distributors here in direct selling. We passed the information on to the DSA, and I'll let you know in a few minutes what their response to it was. The recent article in Direct Selling News, the March edition of Direct Selling News, has a very curious article by DSA Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer Amy Robinson. For years, you would never hear the DSA mention the word Direct Selling Association and politics in the same sentence. I mean, they just shied away from it, even though they understood the power of it, and at some point they were going to have to do it. I've been driving not only the DSA, but also the DSWA to begin to take a stand politically. And even as I sent over information to the DSA about the tax initiative, after reviewing it, never heard a word back from them concerning it. But all that told me that they put it away and that they were going to wait for the time for them to introduce some sort of political language so it could be their original idea. That's one of the things that they're very good at, is taking an idea, tucking it away for a couple of months or maybe a year or so, and then bringing it out as their own. The article in Direct Selling News for March speaks to that point directly. The article is titled, Campaigning for Our Industry and America's Future. As I saw the title of this, I got the idea, wait a minute. Is this going to be about direct selling associations' attempt to get their foot in the door politically? Is this Amy Robinson opening the crack to see what people's reaction would be to the possibility of the Direct Selling Association creating some sort of political base for themselves, more than just it's not a super PAC, but more to the point so that they can do things? Because more and more direct selling company owners are doing it on their own. They're no longer going through the DSA. We've got the DeVos family, one of the largest money donors to the Republican Party. Frank Vandersloot of Melaleuca just poured in $1 million. The owners over at New Skin have done the same thing. For Life owner David Lazenby has done the same thing. When all this happens, this removes political clout, just sucks out the life of the political clout from the DSA. So the article now makes sense. I'm going to read a part of it, and I want to know what you think. This is what Amy says. Economy, jobs, unemployment, small business. In this presidential election year, when you hear those words, it's natural to think you're going to be listening to a campaign ad. With just 8 months until Election Day, it's a sure bet these buzzwords will be heard from a TV screen near you. But in this column, you won't find any campaign promises or attacks on anyone's voting record. In this column, those words carry a far different message, a positive and powerful message only direct selling can deliver. Recently, the DSA asked several direct selling executives to provide their thoughts about the outlook for direct selling in 2012. The results were a compelling mixture of caution and optimism, and exploration of the potential challenges ahead for direct sellers, buffeted by the recognition that direct sellers are uniquely equipped to break new ground and create a new model for economic recovery, one salesperson at a time. Maybe, maybe not. But as you read more into the article, an interesting thing comes up. a new narrative that she's suggesting for direct sellers. As we all know, for the past 100 plus years, direct selling was all about getting away from the job and creating your own entrepreneurial spirit, creating your own home-based business. It was not about job creation, but it was about getting away from the job, the thing that's holding you back. Now, she is saying direct selling is being overlooked as a source of jobs. Jobs to me mean it's a steady income. You're working for someone else. But she goes on to say the unemployment outlook remains somewhat grim, but for all the talk about job creation, direct selling is rarely considered a creator of jobs. Well, of course we've never been considered a creator of jobs because we've never taken that position. But if you want to get into the public policy debate, the political conversation, certainly this year and in subsequent years, you have to say you're about job creation. We must find a way to change the public's mindset about what employment means and become part of the national solution. Part of what she is suggesting is exemplify direct selling as an unlimited source of jobs in an economy that so desperately needs one. Support the growth of small business communities even beyond direct sellers. Well, it would be great if it was an original idea, except that idea was given to them last year when we created the Direct Selling Home-Based Business Tax Initiative that talked about bringing direct sellers and all home-based businesses here in the United States, over 30 million together. This is not an original idea. It's just that they have finally caught on, or that they have finally caught on that the political conversation direct selling is not being dictated by them. Could it be that they are afraid that the political conversation direct selling is being dictated by little old me? I certainly hope not. But how can you be so late to the game? Maybe it's that you're seeing that your numbers, your membership numbers are dwindling, and you're also seeing the mega giants in direct selling go off and do their own thing politically because they don't have the confidence that you can speak for them. Could that also be it? As you see Melaleuca do their thing, New Skin do their thing, Amway do their thing, it's just becoming amazing that the power that is beginning to rise politically here in direct selling, and that's a fantastic thing. I certainly hope the DSA is beginning to look at direct selling as a political animal, but in order to achieve that end, you're going to have to get the distributors involved. After saying that this is not a political ad or political conversation, she closes out by saying, on second thought, maybe this is a campaign where direct selling is the unexpected front runner in the race to economic recovery and the promise to deliver each time someone creates a better life for themselves or the life of someone else. Politics, politics, politics. It's about time you guys caught up. It's about time. It may be a little too late because now the direct selling companies are going on about their business without you. I don't know what you're going to do, but from an image standpoint, when you start talking about create or delete the word image from our vocabulary, that is not going to do it. And now that you're talking about direct selling is a creator of jobs, you're asking us to change the narrative from becoming a industry of entrepreneurs to be an industry of jobs. It may work, it may not. It's certainly one that I've been pushing for years. As I said, it's about time you caught up. Now the only thing is, can you get the rest of direct selling to catch up with you? When I come back, a special comment.
When my mother used to sell Princess House.
Joined them way that night.
Norma siempre vendía cosas de Avon.
Oh, it must have been around 1935.
But those knives were amazing.
The one lady's name was Mary Kay, and I said, oh, cosmetics will never sell on Party Plan.
Was a single mom and created these hair care products for black women and became the first self-made millionaire in the United States. I just think that's extraordinary.
Yesterday, after my story, part 1 of the special report on Is the Direct Selling in Trouble, I got a number of emails from a number of people saying it's about time. Keep up the good work. A number of them also said, how come no one else talks about this issue in direct selling? Well, that's quite easy to answer. Other media in direct selling wouldn't dare do it. For instance, Direct Selling News wouldn't dare do it because they're tied at the hip with the DSA. And as one speaks, so does the other. So it will never, ever happen. Network Marketing Business Journal, Keith Lakers, the publisher, every now and then talks about things politically, but it's always with such a hard spin. It's not really an unbiased look at things, but that's okay. At least he's doing it, and I applaud him for it. One particular email really caught my attention. It said, thank you for pointing out that the DSA might be in panic mode. It's about time they start to do something to elevate our conversation, to elevate our voice. I don't know that that's their plan from a distributor standpoint, but at least they're willing to explore, it sounds like, with the recent article in the March edition of Direct Selling News by Amy Robinson, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for Direct Selling Association, that they are starting to look at the potential of creating a much larger political voice. The question is, how do you go about it? Are you looking to creating a direct selling super PAC? Because as we all know, thanks to the January 21st, 2010 Citizens United ruling by the Supreme Court, big money is what controls politics. If it is the DSA's wish to get more involved politically, to create a much larger political voice, a super PAC, my concern is, will that super PAC or will that voice that you are creating serve the needs of the companies and company owners? Because after all, that's who you want in your association. Your association is not for distributors. Or will you engage distributors? Because distributors are, in fact, the greatest asset in direct selling. It has never been the product that has been the greatest asset. It has never been the company owners that have been the greatest asset. The greatest asset are the people. The people who walk out and tell the stories about what has happened to them in their lives, how direct selling has improved their lives, and how it may potentially improve the lives of the person they're sitting across from at the dining room table. If you move about in creating or move forward in creating some sort of political arm that can get direct selling's voice heard much louder, in direct selling, you're going to have to figure out a way to get the distributors involved. There's no two ways about it. You will never garner the support that you need. You'll never have the winds at your back that you need. Otherwise, you're going to see more and more companies move away from the DSA, more and more companies move away from the Direct Selling Association, Direct Selling Women's Alliance. More and more companies move away from the MLMIA and start to do it on their own. And when they start to do it on their own, they crush the voice of the distributors who are in essence in partnership with them, because the owners could put forth millions of dollars so that their morals and their values can be achieved without any regard to what their distributors think. If the DSA is going to create, once again, some sort of political voice, super PAC, political action committee, I want in. There's absolutely no doubt about it. I want in. I have been talking about this for a long time, and I will continue to talk about it. I am the voice in the media direct selling that challenges the status quo. Always have been, always will be. I have no ties to any company. I'm not a distributor. I don't have any business ties to anyone. And I certainly am not tied to any association. So I talk based on what I see and what I hear. And I'm suggesting that direct selling create a massive political voice, probably in conjunction with other home-based businesses. As I said in my earlier segment, there's over 30 million home-based businesses here in the United States, and there is no political voice for them. We created the Direct Selling Home-Based Business Tax Initiative in early 2011. We engaged the DSA, we engaged the Direct Selling Women's Alliance, and we engaged the MLMIA, and none of those associations wanted any part of it. That's too bad, because that easily could have been the creation of the voice that you now so desperately need. Have a good day.